By clicking on this video, you saved GFrom.
Thank you for releasing me!
Productions.
When I was a little kid, 2D platformers were my jam. Games like Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario Bros. Shaped my tastes in gaming. When the PlayStation came along, I got introduced to the third dimension by a little game called Tomb Raider. My mind was blown beyond repair. In the following years, our collection grew and my dad bought quite a few games like Crash Bandicoot 2, which was my first 3D platformer.
Back then, we also got our hands on some demo discs. On one of these discs was a game that I played more than most of the games we owned.
Spyro the Dragon. It was developed by Insomniac Games and published by Universal Interactive Studios in 1998. Whereas Crash 2 had linear levels, Spyro let you walk around freely. I had never played anything like it. All it contained was the first hub world and 2 levels, but I replayed them over and over again. You could say it was a magical experience for young GFrom.
When I visited my dad in Sweden in 1999, he had bought 2 new games. Croc, Legend of the Gobbos, and, you guessed it, Spyro the Dragon. I've rarely been this excited over a new game.
I played it for months and it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. In 2011 I reviewed it on my YouTube channel and here's what I said.
Meanwhile, I even call this game my favorite PlayStation game ever.
Wow, now that's a statement. This year the game celebrates its 25th anniversary and since then many sequels and even a remastered version have been released.
How does the original PlayStation 1 game hold up after all this time, and do I still consider it my top PS1 title? Join me as we glide into the Dragon Kingdom.
GFrom, the gamer, the legend, he's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom Reviews.
The game starts with an interview in the world of dragons. One of the dragons talks smack about Gnasty Gnorc, who is trapped in a distant world.
Besides, he is ugly. That does it.
Don't judge a Gnorc by his looks, bro. He traps all the dragons in crystals and turns their treasure into evil warriors. Well, every dragon except Spyro. Lucky bastard. So the goal is to rescue all dragons, collect every gem and also return all stolen dragon eggs. The Dragon Kingdom is divided into 6 worlds. Each world has a hub area with portals to different levels. Each world except the last has 3 regular stages, a boss and a flying stage. You can play most of them in any order you like. In order to get to the next world, you have to knock out certain tasks like freeing X amount of dragons.
This means you can pretty much play at your own pace and don't even have to visit every level as long as you complete the given task.
Gems are scattered across the worlds and are sometimes hidden in treasure chests. Defeating enemies also gives you gems. Basically, gems are everywhere. The color indicates how much they are worth.
A red gem counts as 1, a green counts as 2, blue as 5, yellow as 10 and pink as 25.
Respawned enemies drop pearls. Collect enough of them and you'll get an extra life. What about this shady pair of eyes? It'll forever be a mystery, because killing it also gives you an extra life. An eye for an eye and a life for a life, you could say. Spyro has 2 forms of attacking. As a dragon, of course he can breathe fire. Then he can also charge into enemies with his big ass horns like a goat. Ouch. Not only can Spyro jump, but by pressing the jump button in the air, he glides. I guess he hasn't learned to fly yet. Poor little sky goat. Lastly, he can roll with the shoulder buttons. This is a move that isn't present in the later games and I can see why. Most of the time I forget the roll even exists. It can come in handy, but I find it easier to just jump or run away from projectiles, etc.
I'll explain more along the way. With most of the basics out of the way, let's check out the levels.
Artisans Home is the first hub world and what a classic it is. The grassy area with castles and waterfalls really feels like home. It's so peaceful. The Gnorcs don't even attack you and instead run away in terror like they've seen a monster. Cower before me. The big thief is unique because you need to hit him 3 times to get all the gems. You start right in front of a statue. Touching it triggers a cutscene. Every freed dragon has a name and something to say. Nestor here tells you that you need to rescue 10 dragons before Marco the balloonist takes you to the next world. The balloonists don't have voices, sadly. Stepping on the platform allows you to replay the dragon's cutscene or save your game.
This game has no autosave feature, so make sure to save every once in a while.
Stepping on them also gives you a checkpoint. Delbin tells you about Sparks the Dragonfly. This little fella protects you and acts like a health bar. First he is all golden and shiny. Taking a hit turns him blue and then green. After that he disappears and getting hit makes you lose a life. By feeding Sparks butterflies he regains his health. How do you get butterflies? By killing harmless, innocent little animals like these cute little sheep.
The Animal Kingdom is a cruel place, and the Dragon Kingdom seems no different.
Argus is the only dragon that has 2 different messages depending on when you free him. First he tells you that you have to enter one of the other worlds before entering the boss level. Sounds reasonable. You can take a sneak peek through the dragon's mouth. Toasty. Thomas was called Sylvis in the demo for whatever reason. You get notified once you collect every gem. By pressing select you can check your current status. I love Artisans Home. It's such a friendly environment and eases you into the game. Let's walk into the first portal. You only get a short loading screen where you see how much treasure you've gathered. Stone Hill looks very similar to Artisans Home. It's not as friendly though. Rams and shepherds want you dead. Neither are tough to deal with. There are several ways to go. Inside the castle is a dragon and mounds of treasure. The metallic chests can only be destroyed by charging into them. At the end of each level is a... what is it?
Pass through this fancy vortex thingamajigger.
Ah, okay, thanks. It transports you home. But oh, what's that? A hidden area. Nice! Here you find a key in a cave. With the help of the fancy vortex thingamajig, you get back up again. By jumping into the well, you get to a locked chest. Good thing we already have the key. Another large area forces you to glide for the first time. How about a tip?
For the longest glide, press the X button at the top of a jump, and try pressing the triangle button to drop down in mid-flight.
Nice. By the way, it was so cool to actually see the dragons. In the demo, you just got text. Now you get to explore the entire upper area. It looks so open-ended.
Now that's what I call an invisible wall.
I think this is a pretty cool way to deal with invisible walls actually.
Someone's mocking me. It's that blue guy over there. How dare he? Let's roast him. Yeah, so this guy is pretty fast and getting him can be a challenge at first. Success rewards you with a dragon egg.
I've had several locations where I was missing like 1 gem at the end. That's always a bitch in collectathon games like this.
Overall, Stonehill is relaxing and introduces the first elements of danger in a rather harmless way. Not too shabby for an early level. As you navigate through the simplest maze in the world, you reach Dark Hollow. This stage takes place at night and I remember being completely amazed by its almost dreamy atmosphere. Defeating enemies requires a little more strategy here. You can't flame the metal shields, but charging into them works just fine. On the contrary, the big guys are immune to your mighty horns. So when this dude in his shiny armor blocks your way, wait for him to turn around. I have a soft spot for the small frogs. Like, look at this sorrowful little fella. Let me put you out of your misery. Oswin here teaches Spyro to use the triangle button to look around.
Oh, your secret's safe with me.
It can come in handy, but I rarely use it. Speaking of looking around, the camera is turned with the shoulder buttons.
Yeah, this is old school. No second control stick for you.
I appreciate the little details, like flaming the fireplace or charging into lanterns. This is a super short stage, but I love it. As a kid, I replayed it 1,000 times because it's so charming. It's still one of my favorites, even though it doesn't have much to offer gameplay-wise. Town Square was the first stage I played that wasn't in the demo, so it was like discovering a new continent. You already start to see dragons that are exact copies of ones you've already rescued.
It's the PS1, what are you gonna do?
Here's the type of treasure I've never cared for. By hitting it, a gem flies up briefly and you have to jump into it. I guess you're in Dragon Spain because there are bulls and toreadors out for your blood. If you charge into the bulls, they get stuck for all eternity. I almost feel sorry for them. Almost. What are you looking at? A few seconds ago you were running away from the bull like a coward. This marked the time I got to the end and was missing a large chunk of collectibles. Where are they and how do I get up to the thief? The moment of discovery when I managed to glide around the corner for the first time to find a new area was magical for 9-year-old GFrom.
Thank you for releasing me.
Yeah, that's not the last time you heard that sentence.
Thank you for releasing
No,
me.
no, not yet.
I like Town Square with its amusing enemies and the first quote-unquote challenging gliding section. It's time to enter the first boss portal. Toasty gives us the first mildly tough foes, dogs. They need to be flamed twice and they jump at you after the first hit. The trick is to jump right after the first attack and flame it again. Or you could roll to the side. The level is extremely short and after only a couple of minutes you're at the boss. Oh sheesh, Toasty looks tough at first. Turns out it's just a damn sheep on stilts. The a-hole canines are more of a hassle to deal with than the actual boss.
But can you blame him for turning to the dark side though? All sheep must live in constant fear of turning into dragonfly fodder.
I'm rooting for you, Toasty. Too bad he's such a wuss. I don't have anything against this stage per se, but it's way too short to be memorable and the boss is a fluffy joke.
You'd think that's it for this world.
Let me tell you a secret.
Jump on the platforms in front of the waterfall and wow, a secret level! I was so excited the first time I discovered it. Icy Flight is the first flying level. Yes, Spyro knew how to fly this whole time, but only in certain locations.
Why? I have no clue.
The goal here is to destroy 8 barrels on trains, 8 golden chests, fly through 8 arches and flame 8 planes in 30 seconds. That's a pretty tight time limit, but you get a few seconds back for everything you destroy or fly through. You get 60 gems for each completed set and another 60 for doing them all in one go. It's up to you to figure out the fastest way. This can be tricky at first and the flying controls take a little getting used to.
My dad couldn't do the flying levels back then, so that's why I had to step in to bail him out.
Nowadays, Icy Flight is no big deal to me, it's even fun. Back then I had problems with it for sure. After beating a flying level, you can replay it for the best time. I've never done it. And that concludes Artisans. This is one of the most classic Spyro chapters ever, and even though there's basically no challenge for me here, I still have a jolly good time. So with 10 dragons rescued, you can talk to Marco the balloonist who then flies you to the next world.
I remember a friend telling me about a war level with cannons and stuff. I thought he was straight up lying to me, but it turned out to be true.
Peacekeeper's Home has quite a different feel to it. The dragons look strong and they live in a canyon which has been overrun with foot soldiers. This is war, it's serious stuff. Our main objective here is to collect a total of 1200 gems. We already have 1000, so this shouldn't take long. Look at these dudes shooting cannonballs back and forth. They must be bored out of their minds. Some of them are scared of me and hide in tents. You can't escape my wrath. Oh well, he looks so scared. Maybe I'll just leave. Wait, what?
This guy's showing me the full moon. What an astoundingly bad-mannered individual.
That means death. You had it coming. You can use their cannons to not only destroy the treasure, but oh my, I wonder what that target's for. That thief didn't get the memo to flee from me. On this particular playthrough, I ran into problems that I don't remember having back then. It took me several tries to get this jump right. I probably pushed the jump too late, so my muscle memory might be off. Oh, I haven't mentioned yet, Spyro can't swim. This is most likely a tar pit anyways, but water also kills him. This is a nice change of pace and the enemies are hilarious. As a kid, this was one of my favorite home worlds and I can totally see why. Get ready for more desert levels. Dry Canyon introduces the first Gnorcs with projectiles. Another thief. This is one of the more challenging... oh, never mind. I love burning the cacti who then just shake off the ashes.
Thank you for releasing me.
Hey, we've already heard that exact same clip. Spyro takes on a headshot like a man. A really stupid man, but whatever. Cruelty. Don't show this to PETA. Check this out. Fireworks. Don't stand too close to it after igniting it, just like in real life.
For more obvious life lessons with GFrom, please subscribe to my channel.
Back then, when I attempted completion for the first time, this was the last level I could finish 100%. I just couldn't figure out how to get to that dragon up there. I should have listened to Boris.
Dry Canyon rewards good gliders. You are a good glider, eh, Spyro?
I was born to glide.
Pretty close to where he was standing, I one day saw the opening and was able to perform this tricky glide. One of my proudest gaming moments for sure.
Those birds might look tough, but they're pretty tasty. Flame broiled, with a pinch of salt.
You mean salt?
Salt.
Here you get to the farthest glide yet. This is epic. I was missing one gem at the end, but I found it eventually. Dry Canyon is fun to explore and holds up quite well. Next up is Cliff Town. Mama's cooking, so don't disturb her. Hey, no need for slapping.
It didn't hurt Spyro, but the rejection still stings.
Don't forget to flame the cooking pot or you'll miss gems. That thief is annoying. Would you zip it?
How's a dragon supposed to flame metal armor anyway?
Bro, that's the credit music in the background. We ain't that far yet. At first, the level seems fairly small once you make your way up here. But you can glide over the river to the other side where a bunch of vultures wait for you. More invisible walls. This area is rather empty, but it allows us to reach new places. It's another solid level that I like revisiting. Ice Cavern gives us the visual opposite with snowy and icy terrain. To get butterflies you need to kill bats, which aren't always in reach. The small Gnorcs throw snowballs at you. How immature.
Some big Gnorcs up ahead are wearing armor. And in the ice cave, armor can make their feet very slippery.
What kind of sense does that make?
Apparently it works, so what do I know? By charging into the lanterns, the gems on top fall down. One of the biggest mysteries back then was how to get to those 3 extra lives up there. It wasn't until years later that I finally realized you have to glide around the corner at the beginning of the stage. Tricky. Ice Cavern used to be my most beloved level, and that might still be the case today. It feels larger in scope with many caverns and open areas to visit. Plus it looks gorgeous for its time. When it comes to snow levels, it's one of my highlights in gaming, for sure. The second boss is called Dr. Shemp. Mama's angry and forces her kamikaze slaves to commit suicide. I'm not joking. Look at him go! Just don't let Mama slap you off the cliff. Check out that platform. Can you get there? Yes you can, if you don't mess up like me. And I thought I was great at this game. This is the first purple gem. I'm rich, bitch. Look at this fool. At least this boss puts up somewhat of a fight, but it's still ridiculously simple. Not a great stage, but believe it or not, it's one of the better boss fights in my opinion. That's sad. Night Flight used to be grueling for me, but this time I made it on the second try. Like most of them, it has you flying through rings, like another game from that era I won't mention by name. This is actually playable though. You also have to flame the lighthouses. Plus it's the only flying stage that doesn't involve the senseless murder of Gnorcs. The hard part is getting everything in one try, but all things considered, this is one of the simpler flying stages. Thumbs up from me. Peacekeepers is an excellent world with the exception of Dr. Shemp. The desert setting doesn't get boring and Ice Cavern is a strong contender for the best stage. Gosnold the Balloonist flies you to the next homeworld, Magic Crafters. As the name suggests, this snowy world is full of wizards and druids. It's nerd heaven. The dragons, who all have 4 horns, are all very old and supposedly wise. The goal is to collect 5 dragon eggs, which we already have. In theory, you could skip this entire world. What fun would that be? Man, I love knocking these druids out. The green ones raise platforms and then laugh at you. I hate you!
How do you get to them? Well, my fellow dragons, this is where the so-called supercharge comes into play.
Run over these arrows on the floor and Spyro gets super fast. Not only that, this way he can smash metal chests that can't be opened otherwise. Controlling Spyro in this reckless state is something you have to get used to. It's very sensitive. How cool is it to find this chest next to the waterfall? The answer is very. I think this is the best homeworld yet with its many imaginative elements. Alpine Ridge, hey! Alpine Ridge takes place way up in the mountains. This is not a place you want to be at. These monsters are freaking terrifying.
For some reason, this was the most forgettable stage for me as a kid.
But how could it be with beasts of this size haunting your nightmares? Like most enemies, they go down with one hit, so they're not that brutal. It's more about the intimidation factor. The blue Santa Claus looking wizards aren't much of a hassle either. Wrong music again. Oh great, now I've really had it with the druids.
Oh, thank you for releasing me.
No problem, dog. Did somebody say dog?
G-Dog!
My bad. I lied.
Anyway, so whoa, Jesus Christ. Damn, why do I mess up so many glides this time? I died plenty of times, but overall this is a fantastic stage that captures your imagination and occasionally scares the crap out of you. High Caves is a unique level. Why? You'll see. First you deal with more druids and some weird tornado wizards. Then you get to a supercharge that you have to use to access different areas. Expect to fall down in the pit a bunch, but it's your lucky day. In this area only, a bunch of fairies come to your rescue every time you fall, and they even carry you back to the supercharge. Great service. Oh, and by the way, giant metal bugs are lurking in the caves. Nothing short of childhood trauma. They can only be killed with a supercharge. But wait, I can't get up the steps. How am I supposed to kill this stupid bug? Once again, fairies are the answer. To be more precise, one fairy. This chick is such a good kisser that Spyro turns red and gets a goddamn super flame. Bruh, don't mess with me or I'll get my fairy girlfriend to kiss me. You don't want that to happen, man. I really do get a kick out of using the supercharge to get around. Another great stage in my book. Wizard Peak was the next to last realm I was able to complete back then. I just couldn't figure out how to get to the wizards to create these large ice Gnorcs. Believe it or not, I managed to miss this entire pathway right at the beginning. I felt idiotic. This is one of the most exciting supercharged sections. I mean, damn, it took me quite a few times as a kid to get those jumps right. Who's laughing? Oh wow, we get to see a close-up of the thief. Look at that evil grin.
Reminds me a bit of Grim Fandango, to be honest.
The Ice Gnorc just knocked out a druid. What a helpful chap. This right here is the final dragon egg. Yep, you only get them in the first 3 worlds. I wonder why they made that decision. If you don't find the secret flying stage in Artisans, don't worry. Lucas tells you all about it.
It is at the waterfall. Try jumping on the stones there.
Wizard Peak is a freaking classic that's among the best stages. Supercharging is just that good. The third boss is called
Blowhard? Seriously?
Insert generic sexual reference here, am I right?
In this stage you're attacked by weather wizards. Blowhard himself is like a weird druid tornado dude with agonizingly slow weather attacks. Like seriously, I've rarely seen his attacks because he's such a weakling. You pretty much chase him through the level by blasting him 3 times. The dragon Altair doesn't even offer any help because it's not needed. That might be the oldest dragon of them all, by the way. He could be an assassin for all I care. This whole stage is just a pushover and probably the weakest of them all. Crystal Flight was the first flying level I ever played, if I recall correctly. My dad couldn't beat it and goddamn, I don't blame him. I swear to God, I didn't have that many problems with it the last time I played it, but this time I sucked hard. The most obvious path isn't as great as you'd expect because you'll run out of time eventually. The planes are straight up pests. If you miss one and don't have much time left, good luck finding it. It took me 11 minutes to finally do it and it was pretty frustrating. I guess I lost my mojo. Not exactly my favorite flying level. Magic Crafters as a whole is extremely enjoyable and imaginative. The boss might be a letdown, but the rest is top tier Spyro stuff in my eyes. Where does Tuco the Balloonist take us? Welcome to the Beastmakers. This is a giant swamp and by far the darkest world, visually. Not like Silent Hill dark. It's completely surrounded by green and black ooze. There are some torches here and there to light up the way.
Spyro, it's great to see you, but I've got to go.
Well geez, good luck on your journey if you're in such a hurry.
Enemies include boars and electro Gnorcs. Don't get your ass zapped, it's not pleasant. What a cheap bastard! The goal is to save 50 dragons. Including the 2 you saved here, you already have 48 if you found everyone thus far. My favorite part is gliding over the ooze to get to the key. Atmospherically, this homeworld is my grand champion when it comes to this game. The change in tone is welcome at this point and I'm really looking forward to the next levels.
My favorite level is the one called Terrace Village.
Oh really? Let's see if that still holds true. When I think of this level, I think of green. That happens to be my favorite color, so I'm good. The exception might be the green waterfalls. Ooze falls? I don't know. This stage is flooded with electric Gnorcs that electrocute the floor or shoot at you. That makes it a little slow going because you have to wait around. At first it seems fairly linear, but then you need to scale the rooftops. It's a bit annoying to fall down because you have to run back the whole way again. Here you have little rockets that you have to ignite. Look at him go! Is it still the best stage for me? No way in hell. I mean, it's decent, but except for the visuals, I don't think there's anything too special about it. The gliding parts aren't exactly bliss. Yet another swamp awaits you in Misty Bog, but this realm is a little lighter on atmosphere.
Don't get fooled by that. It inhabits two of the most vicious foes of them all.
But first things first, check this out. It's such a silly little moment, and now he's dead. Why do the plants have eyes? Again, because nobody answered me. Why do the plants have eyes? Oh lord! These freaks scared the crap out of me as a kid. They aren't even the worst. The blue frogs deserve a spot in hell.
Be on the lookout for attack frogs. They are cold-blooded killers.
Attack frogs?
And this used to be such a nice swamp.
They're so quick with their tongues. It's outrageously hard to avoid taking damage, especially in this cave. There are too many. This is quite a sprawling level. Good thing fairies show us the way with arrows. On my first playthrough I was missing a whole bunch of gems when I got to the end. It's not too obvious, but you have to make your way up here to get the remaining stuff. Loved figuring that all out. What I also loved? This. Ah damn, I missed one. Misty Bog is superb, maybe with the exception of the attack frogs. It's a blast to explore and finally offers some sort of challenge. Treetops is probably the most infamous stage of them all. It takes place way up in a village in the treetops. Right at the beginning you see a green thief, but there's no need to run after him just yet. You won't get him anyway. The enemies... I don't know, are they supposed to be tribesmen or apes? Either way, they throw bananas at you and I don't know what to do with that information. Oh, I haven't mentioned these things yet. Flame them a few times for a gem.
For an amazing tour of the treetops, don't just stop at one supercharge.
Yeah, that's the best piece of advice you can get. I usually walk through the level casually, collecting everything first. You'll notice an area above the exit and a platform way back there that you can't get to. Or so you think. What follows is the most challenging part of Spyro 1. To get to the two areas where the green and red thieves are, you need to use the supercharge. But don't take the linear path. You have to make jumps you wouldn't expect and chain together multiple superchargers to gain enough speed and make one insane jump at the end. Even today it took me a few tries, but this is the most satisfying thing I've experienced all day.
That's kinda sad actually. I regret nothing.
The pesky thieves reward you with a purple gem each. From what I gather, many people dislike this stage, but I think it's one of the best. Supercharging has never been this much fun and I also love the unique setting. Plus, it's the only stage where you can't drown. Amazing stuff. The fourth boss is called a Metalhead. This time the banana throwing individuals have metal armor and get kicked like a football. The stage itself feels rather short again, but there are several hidden areas. First down here and then later behind the... I don't know, it looks like the castle is barfing. Just lost my appetite. The boss is unique because you don't have to flame him directly. Instead you have to destroy the power supplies when they're green. I'm not saying that it's great, because it isn't, but at least it's a new take on combat and the boss doesn't go down after 3 seconds. You have to do this twice. Then his pathetic mohawk metal ass just falls over and dies. Sadly, this is the boss I rank the highest. At least the level is decent. Jump down here to find the flying level. Wild Flight used to be my favorite, but that's not the case anymore. I've grown to distaste the planes. The boats aren't too bad as long as you don't touch the water. It's tough to find the most time-efficient route. Don't mess around too much or else you'll waste time searching for that one remaining boat. It took me longer to beat than I'd like to admit, but overall it's a fun romp. Just doesn't really fit with the swamp setting. Feels more like it belongs to Artisans. Beastmakers is without a doubt the world I enjoy the most. I always look forward to it and it keeps me absorbed as usual. Now it's time for some lighter stuff again, wouldn't you say? Cray the Balloonist flies you to the Dreamweavers. The goal is to get 6,000 gems. I already have 8,000, but let's not travel to the final world just yet. Just like Magic Crafters, this place is imaginative AF, but it's different.
You must expect the unexpected.
You mean like living mushrooms that turn into butterflies? Or is that an everyday thing by your standards? You're above the clouds and have to deal with monks. There's a cannon in the middle that shrinks or grows the monks. The armored kind can't be defeated when they're giant. Eventually you get to the cannon and can fire it yourself. It's just amusing to stand here and look at them for a while. Such fools.
My brothers and I used to imitate them.
Speaking of fools, this little dude can't be killed, but hitting him turns him into a clock. This activates a platform for a few seconds. You know the drill. This is such a cool place with a friendly vibe. Me likey. Dark Passage takes the theme of dreams and nightmares and runs with it. You see these innocent little animals? When it gets dark, they aren't that cute anymore. That's why you have to knock out the lamp fool to turn the light on for a brief moment. You also encounter cupids who look like the devil. Don't quote me on this, but it might be the longest level. At least it's the stage with the most dragons, gems and enemies. The central area with the pit in the middle leads you to the exit pretty straightforward. By gliding into this opening, you get to a longer path with loads of caves and tunnels. Visually, this is the most stunning for me. The purple night sky is just gorgeous to look at, and the rest looks pretty crisp too. I made one stupid mistake. I fired the rocket and died before I collected the treasure. If that happens, the gems get locked up again. That's why I had to run through the entire level one more time to get to the rocket once more. A little tedious, but what are you gonna do? Dark Passage is perfect with a great concept, cool enemies and pleasing surroundings. Top 3 for sure. Off you go to Lofty Castle. Yeah, so this realm centers around a floating castle. It's divided into multiple small islands. In order to progress, you need to rescue 3 fairies who then create a whirlwind. Rinse and repeat this a few times. What's up with the balloon Gnorcs? Are they just hanging there for all eternity? Don't look down, buddy.
Thank you for releasing me.
As a kid, I often played the game on German. Usually the dragons say,
Danke, dass du mich befreit hast. Danke, dass du mich befreit hast.
Danke, dass du mich befreit hast. Danke, dass du mich befreit hast.
This is the only guy that says,
Danke, dass du mich gerettet hast.
That's a piece of trivia you thought you didn't need. And you're probably right.
This is the only red spring chest in the entire game. What a weird, lonely chest.
Supercharge will get you to new places here in Lofty Castle too. See where it takes you.
After that statement, I expected something like Treetops, but it isn't even in the same league. As a kid, this was my most dreaded stage because I died a lot and had trouble finding everything. Today I made it through just fine, and I've grown to appreciate the dreamy nature of the whole thing. We're getting spooky now with Haunted Towers. I usually mix up this one with Lofty Castle. Spyro visits yet another castle, but this might be the most dangerous yet. Blue wizards bring the knight armor to life and they can't be destroyed.
Unless...
Oh, almighty hot fairy chick, would you please grant me a fiery kiss? Oh wow, it worked. Yeah, so for a limited time you have the chance to destroy the knights. This means you have to run back to the fairy to get your super flame back. It's not too bad because there are several of them. Spyro's a player.
All dragons know there's magic in a fairy's kiss. See what it can do to your power of flame.
Thanks for the advice, bonehead. Couldn't they have placed the dragon a little earlier? You know, before you have to use the super flame?
Here's another part that took me forever to figure out back then. To nab the final missing gems, you'd better do this crazy supercharged sprint and glide around the corner. Sneaky stuff. Here you have to run past the armor enemies before they come to life and block your path. Failed? Leave the room and try again. I needed a few tries because the timing is tight. Spyro's rewarded with the love of his life. This fairy gives him the ultimate kiss that turns a beloved purple dragon red forever. Well, at least until you leave the realm. I freaking love Haunted Towers. Again, the supercharge is premium stuff and I like getting kissed by elven ladies. Who doesn't? You're about to confront Jacques, whoever the hell that is. His stage is the most nightmare-inducing stuff you'll encounter. It's full of male and female monsters, and yes, you can call it a fire level. Haven't had one of those yet. There are 2 paths to choose from, and it doesn't really matter which one you start. I usually go left first. The clock fools return, and you have to hit 2 of them within a short time span to get high enough. I died a few times, mostly because my timing was garbage. Again.
Where is my mojo?
Any advice before this battle?
Even Spyro doesn't take this seriously. The boss is called Jacques because Jack in a box. Jacques in a box?
Get it?
Yeah, I have no comment. This might be the least impressive fight of them all. Just follow him around, roast him when he stands still and avoid the boxes. At least his death rewards you with a bunch of treasure, but this was beyond underwhelming. It's the longest boss stage, but I never really cared for it because it devolves into tedious stuff. The final flying level is called Icy Flight. It's another tough one. For some reason the lighthouses have always given me trouble. For the barrels I usually run along the train tracks. For some reason the copters gave me the most grief. I don't remember it being so hard, but this challenge kicked my ass for too long. The time limit is a tad too strict for my taste. Of course, like with everything in life, you need to practice. I'm sure if I grind it, it wouldn't be a problem. Nonetheless, I think it's the one I like the least. Dreamweavers as a whole is fantastic. I've said that about every world thus far, but it's true. I've had an overwhelmingly great time up to this point. Will this change with the final world? Amos the Balloonist takes us to Gnasty's world. The main hub is called Gnorc Gnexus. It's a dump. Seriously, it is. In contrast to all other homeworlds, this is just a small island with a few portals and no enemies. Just some cuddly rats. The rules are different here. You can only enter one portal. By playing through that realm, you open the first dragon mouth with a portal inside, and so on. It's also the only quote-unquote level where you can't collect all treasure on the first run. You'll notice that from here on out, all the dragons have been rescued before.
Hey, didn't I already free you?
They're from all the worlds, and they apparently tried to stop Gnasty Gnorc on their own. Leave that hero stuff to the professionals. You enter Gnorc Cove, which is a dock with the dock workers throwing barrels. Who do they think they are, a Nintendo mascot? They kinda look like the balloonists. Huck, can I trust you? The barrels can become their bane. Ooh, sexy underwear. Make sure to step away from the TNT barrels after flaming them.
Wow! I never thought I'd be rescued, especially by such a little dragon. What I mean is, I always believed in you, Spyro!
You gotta believe!
Bro, you should be a rapper. The stage is fairly linear up until you reach this room with several corridors. The locked chest can be opened with a key, but you could also destroy it with a barrel. It's nice to have a level without a magic theme again. Straightforward 3D platforming goodness. Jumping over barrels is as classic as it gets. The first dragon mouth has a portal to Twilight Harbour, the final regular realm. And it sure feels like it. The Gnorcs have had it with Spyro. They're now packing machine guns and grenades. For real. In the reignited version they use some sort of toxic goo as ammo. Lame, but understandable. The PS1 version feels like war, especially with that red sky. One unique aspect is that you can flame the drawbridge levers. This raises or lowers the bridge. Now you can use the final supercharge to get up here. Having to avoid that many projectiles makes this experience more tense than usual. Still, I wouldn't call it horrifying by any means. I think it's cool with its more serious tone. You're nearing the final boss after all. This is it, the moment of truth. Let's face Gnasty Gnorc. I remember that my dad couldn't beat this stage and I couldn't do it either at first. It's all about running and chasing.
You need 2 keys to get to Gnasty. Who has the keys?
Thieves, of course. They're pretty quick on their feet, so it might take a few laps before you get them. The first key unlocks the door where the second thief is hiding. He's even more of a hassle to catch. You don't want to fall into the water. The second key allows us to face the Gnorkiest of Gnorcs. This also is essentially just a chase sequence. Well, you know me, I'll get the treasure first. He stands still at this spot, and if you're fast enough, you'll get an opportunity to burn him. Too slow and the chase starts over again. Whatever you do, don't die. Why? You have to start the entire thing from the beginning. There's no checkpoint. That means you have to chase the 2 thieves again, which is excruciating after a while. You know me, I died some unnecessary deaths and got increasingly frustrated. After the first hit, you have to glide between platforms and there's not much time. And then, this. How anticlimactic. While I kinda like the concept, I have to say that for a final boss, this ain't too much to brag about. Chasing thieves and the giant Gnorc gets old after a while. You get a little cutscene where Spyro says that there's still some treasure to be found, and then you get the credits. This is one of my most beloved credit sequences of all time. The camera flies through the levels and you remember all the good times you had. Of course, it introduces the running gag that no sheep were harmed during the creation of the game.
Although I find it suspicious that they feel the need to mention that so often. Could it be?
There's still one closed dragon mouth in Gnasty's world. Looking at the statistics show that we have 99% with only one dragon missing. It's your lucky day, he's right there where Delvin used to stand.
The gate will not open until you have found everything in the Dragon Kingdom. Come back when you have reached 100%.
Well, now you have. This gives us access to a bonus level, Gnasty's Loot. There are no enemies, dragons or dragon eggs. The goal is to get all of Gnasty's treasure, 2,000 gems. Holy crap, that's a lot. Who would take the bait? Thieves, of course. You have to chase several of them in order to get keys. The most unique aspect of this bonus stage is that you can fly around freely. There's a limit to how high you can fly. That's why you need the keys. By getting higher, the altitude limit raises too. Soon you'll be chasing thieves in planes. As before, this can be a bit repetitive, but it's not awful. After a while you'll find a room with a portrait of Gnasty Gnorc. It's full of fireworks.
Oh boy, this will be epic.
Look at all that treasure, man! Gimme, 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 gimme! Awesome! This is such a cool reward for completing the game. The level itself isn't that exciting, but the final treasure room is worth it. After leaving Gnasty's loot, you get another cutscene. Hey, leave that sheep alone! It ends with the dragons getting trapped again. Seriously? Anyway, you get another credit sequence, this time with other levels. And that concludes the game with 120%. What else is there to talk about? Did you know that by pressing L1 and triangle in the main menu you get to play a demo of the upcoming Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped? It's the Coco Jet Ski level Tell No Tales. What I noticed right away is that the music is a little different than in the final game. Otherwise it's the same kind of deal. Fun stuff that would have gotten me pumped for the game had I known about the code at the time.
Let's talk about the music and sound for a bit.
The sound effects are cartoony and very recognizable. I particularly like the running sound. Getting gems feels really good too. The enemies make humorous noises that add to the charm. Now the voice acting isn't Oscar worthy, but I like what we have here.
I hate those bugs.
Spyro is voiced by Carlos Alazraqui, who also did the voice of Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. He never returned to the role after this, and I get that Tom Kenny's interpretation is a lot more popular.
We should go on vacation.
Personally, I have a soft spot for Carlos's work. He also voices some of the dragons.
You know who else voiced the dragons? Clancy Brown.
You know, Neo Cortex, Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, etc. Some dragons sound really manly, others funny, and some are just weird.
Thanks for releasing me, Spyro. You have no idea how long I've been trapped in crystal. And, either do I. Who are you again?
The audio cuts out too early sometimes, and I'm not sure if that's just my disc getting old.
If you keep this up, you'll learn all the tricks of the Magic Crafter world.
My highlight of the game is definitely the soundtrack. Where do I begin?
Maybe with the fact that it was produced by none other than Stuart freaking Copeland from The Police? He did a phenomenal job with creating a sound unique to this series. All the tracks are instantly recognizable and give me a warm, nostalgic feeling. I get into my comfort zone right away. Every single level has a unique track, which means there's quite a few songs to listen to. Well, every level except Gnorc Gnexus, which reuses the tune from Toasty. Some tracks sound similar to each other, but they're slightly remixed. The PAL version that I've grown up with has a different song playing in high caves for some reason. Everyone else and even the reignited version have a slower version of Treetops playing in the background. Us Europeans got the better deal, I think. There's not a single bad track on here. If anything, you could maybe call Stone Hill a bit boring and too quiet, but I find it relaxing. Well, okay, I'm not too keen on the beginning of Gnasty's loot, how about that? The flying stages all have fantastic music. It's so upbeat and fun. In fact, most tracks feel positive and make me bob my head while playing, like in Alpine Ridge for example. There are some darker tracks that hit just as hard. I have a soft spot for the Beastmaker's theme. I just love how so many tracks include elements of the title song. The Peacekeeper's music starts in a very distinct way, but then gives us this incredible bass that sounds kinda badass. One of the most complex creations of Mr. Copeland is Jacques. So good.
I could go on and on about this. So how about a ranking of my personal gems? Here are my top 10 songs from Spyro the Dragon.
Number 10. Haunted Towers has a sneaky, mischievous feel. The way the melody and the bassline play together is killer. Spending hours to find that last dragon ain't too bad with this playing in the background. Number 9. This is a laid-back version of the Misty Bog theme, and the subdued instruments here capture the mood better. To me, it's just as recognizable as the title theme, and I'm glad they brought it back for the sequels. Great memories. Number 8. This track makes you wanna dance. Such funky keyboards. It's so good in fact that it was used as the intro song for the Amanda Show on Nickelodeon. I've never seen it, but it's a fun fact. Just as fun as the song itself. Number 7. Like I said, all flying stages have great music, but Wild Flight is just something else. It's a hyped up version of Icy Flight that comes into its own this way. There's an old PlayStation Underground video on YouTube where you can see how Stuart Copeland produced this song. It's such a gem. Number 6. Dark Passage begins with a heavy guitar riff in a major key that still sounds dark, like we're getting into Alice in Chains territory. Perfect for the nightmare theme. It's like the title theme has an evil twin or something. Number 5. This track also starts off rather menacing and mysterious with chimes and harps, but then bursts into something more hopeful and optimistic. The boss is only a sheep after all. It gives me chills on every listen. Number 4. This is one of the most laid-back tracks I've ever heard. It almost puts me into a dream state and makes me think of my childhood and playing the demo over and over. It's audio yoga. Number 3. Now this one is nostalgic as hell to me. It starts with this quiet but smooth bass that fits perfectly to the icy setting. I could easily fall asleep to it, which is a good thing. But that electric piano, man, just listen. It shreds. Like snowboard shredding, not that I do that much. Number 2. By far the most amazing title music in this series for me. Spyro 1 knocks it out of the park from the beginning. It's such an iconic melody and it just sounds amazing through and through. You can tell a drummer wrote this track by the way it grooves. Strong contender for my favorite title music of all time. Number 1. This might come as a surprise unless you saw my 2011 review, but Gnorc Cove is my personal grand champion of this soundtrack. Sacrilege, right? Well, it's so upbeat and motivates me to keep pushing further to get to Gnasty Gnorc. How can you hate that bouncy rhythm? Highly underrated masterpiece in my opinion.
Let's wrap this up, folks.
Big surprise, I freaking love this game from beginning to end. Now I know that most people prefer the sequels with its mini-games and recurring characters. I love those games too, but the first title will always hold a special place in my heart. There's just something pure about it, the simplicity of free-roaming item collection in a well-constructed world with perfectly fitting music and visuals. After all, this is a game for kids and I happened to be just the right age range when it came out. It captured my imagination and I couldn't get enough. Along with Tekken 3 and Tombi, this is the demo I've played the most in my entire life, and getting the full game was a dream come true. The 6 worlds are all unique and I enjoy every single one of them.
They're my babies, don't make me choose a favorite. Okay, it's Beastmasters.
Some levels feel more linear than others, but I enjoy the exploration part of it immensely. The levels aren't that large, so it didn't get too frustrating for me when I managed to miss a gem somewhere. To be fair, I've played the game a ton, so I know almost all of it by heart. The controls are pretty good, but gliding can be awkward at times. Too often did I miss a platform, but maybe that's because I'm so used to the flappy hover move from the sequels. While I enjoy the flying levels, I know that not everyone likes them, and I understand the reasons. I used to be pretty good at them, so I know practice helps. I think they help break up the pace and I mostly look forward to them. Entering a level takes inspiration from Super Mario 64. What I love about the portals is that it gives you a sneak peek as it shows the level background. I love all of them. They are colorful as hell and absolutely beautiful. I also love the design of the enemies and dragons. Sure, they look a bit blocky even for PS1 standards, but it still works for me. I'm one of the few people who prefers how Spyro is portrayed in his first outing. He has a bit of an attitude going on and just wants to kick some.
I just want to kick some.
I like that he thinks he can take on everything by himself, even if that's a 90s trope. A confident little fella who's funny at times. In the next installments, I feel he's a lot more dull, if that makes any sense. It's similar to how I feel about the change of voice actor in the Ratchet & Clank franchise.
Check out my reviews of Ratchet & Clank 1 and 2.
My main gripe with the game, other than the lame bosses, is probably the dragons. While they offer useful advice in the beginning, later they have like nothing to say. Too many say the same thing and even the voice clips get reused. That's just lazy.
Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for releasing me.
Thank you for releasing me.
Thank you for releasing me.
Oh, thank you for releasing me.
Thank you for releasing me.
Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for releasing me.
Thank you for releasing me.
Thank you for releasing me.
If you have 80 dragons in the game, then please put a little more effort into making it worth our while to save them. I gotta say though, I love how every time an old dragon tries to tell a story, Spyro has no time for it.
It seems like I've been trapped in here since I was your age.
No, no.
Why, I remember...
Gotta go.
Respect your elders, bruh. And yeah, the bosses. They all feel like pushovers. It's pretty much what keeps the game from being perfect for me. On the other hand, the music is GOAT material. It's my personal favorite Spyro soundtrack and used to be my #1 video game OST of all time until Sonic Mania came around. I still listen to it regularly and it transports me back to simpler times. As of this recording, Spyro the Dragon remains my most beloved game in the series and I can come back to it any day. It's just such a nice and heartwarming experience.
Meanwhile, I even call this game my favorite PlayStation game ever. Yeah, that's right, I even prefer this over the Tomb Raider games, which used to be at the very top.
Yep, that's still true. If I could only play one PlayStation game for the rest of my life, it would be this one. Being that it's my #1 console, that's saying something.
While we're at it, it's also my favorite 3D platformer along with Super Mario Galaxy. I know there are objectively much more complex and better games out there, but my feelings are my feelings.
Today we have the option to play the beautiful remastered version in the Reignited trilogy. It's cool that these classics can find their way to new audiences this way.
If you played it back then and liked it as much as I did, then I'd say give the original another shot. Otherwise, stick with the reignited version.
While I love what they did with Spyro 1, there's no denying that I probably will come back to the original more often. Nostalgia plays a huge part, but I also think it has aged gracefully. Few games out there can make me feel like a little kid again, but Spyro the Dragon does it effortlessly.
Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching episode 6 of season 3. Feel free to rate, comment, subscribe and follow me on social media. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.